We move now to our cover story and the Florida Supreme Court ruling 6-1 against suspended Orlando State Attorney Monique Worrell. She was trying to get her seat back after the governor suspended her last year, alleging she neglected her duties. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders joining us live from Tallahassee tonight. And Forrest, this case does sound very familiar for people here in Hillsborough County, and both fights are not going away anytime soon. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, you're probably having a little bit of deja vu out there in the Tampa area. That's because this case sounds a lot like what happened to Andrew Warren. Well, in this case, State Attorney Monique Worrell has essentially exhausted her legal battle here with the state's highest court weighing in. Of course, she could still go on the federal level, but at this point, it's probably more likely she's just going to see what voters say come November. But before we talk about re-election, let's focus on the decision that came out on Thursday.
Our next case is Worrell versus DeSantis.
After this December hearing in front of the Florida Supreme Court, we have a decision. 6 of 7 justices upholding Governor Ron DeSantis' suspension of Central Florida State Attorney Monique Worrell. The majority saying in its opinion the Republican governor's order was fair. Quote, "We cannot agree with Worrell that the allegations in the executive order are impermissibly vague, nor that they address conduct that falls within the lawful exercise of prosecutorial discretion.
Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law."
DeSantis announced the suspension during a press conference last August. He alleged the Democrat was too soft on crime, listing examples in that executive order and alleging, quote, neglect of duty.
Refusing to faithfully enforce the laws of Florida puts our communities in danger and victimizes innocent Floridians.
In a Thursday statement, Worrell responded to the ruling, noting DeSantis appointed 5 of the 7 justices and saying, quote, "They took the easy way out by refusing to examine whether the governor's claims had any factual basis." Also saying the court, quote, "rubber stamped a political stunt."
Our elected state attorney, Monique Worrell.
Worrell is in the middle of a re-election bid to her Orange County seat, and supporters think the Thursday decision will only enhance the stakes.
I think it sends a clear message to voters that the decision is ultimately on them, right? If they want to see Monique Worrell return to being their duly elected state attorney, then they have a responsibility to ensure that they reflect that in November when it's time to vote.
Okay, so speaking of November, it's not just Worrell who's running for re-election. Andrew Warren is too, as he tries to get his seat back in Hillsborough County. So we're going to have to wait and see what voters say when we get a little bit closer.
Yeah, and so we're going to be watching that closely for us. What could this potentially look like, though, if Worrell and Warren were to win their seats back? Would we be right back here all over again?
I think potentially. I think this is uncharted territory, so we don't really know. And obviously, if DeSantis were to act again and suspend both or one of these state attorneys, there's a potential ramification politically for him moving forward because, you know, obviously people are going to say he's interfering with the will of the voters. But his justification was neglect of duty for both of these officials. And so if he believes that they are continuing along that path, he very well could suspend them again. We'll have to wait and see. But I will tell you, if you look at the numbers, it's likely that Worrell might have an easier battle winning back her seat because she comes from a heavily Democratic area. You know, when it comes to Warren, it's Hillsborough County, and that's a pretty purple area. So again, this is 2 cases here that we're definitely going to want to watch and see what happens when voters turn out in November.
Yeah, definitely cases that now the voters will decide. Forrest, live for us in Tallahassee tonight. Thank you so much.